And thank you for joining me for this new edition of Business Africa. Today in our show, we'll cover the challenges facing international trade and the struggle to conclude a plastic treaty. But first, let's get on with the show with our top stories today. The geopolitical context weighs on the East African ports heading for Dar es Salaam, a port suffering from the impact of piracy.
The cargo was supposed to be delivered in April, but it was delayed to mid-May. Our customer wanted to use the product in April, so automatically the deal vanished.
Ghana's fishing canoes carved out of tree trunks seek a new future.
It will be appropriate that we rather go fiberglass fully so that it will help the depleting of our forest, and then also it will help us to do a better fishing in this country.
Waste recycling business and job creation. A Cameroonian company has found the winning solution against pollution.
Where we might need a lot of resources, we've made do with the means that can be found locally. This includes manual collections, manual sorting, using tricycles, and raising local awareness, methods that can work in Africa.
Ports and geopolitics are increasingly interlinked on the continent. While the conflict between Israel and Gaza has sent economic shockwaves into Africa, Houthis' rebels' attacks in the Suez Canal and the Red Sea have triggered a growing shipping insecurity. As a result, an increase in freight costs and constant delays of cargo movements in East African ports are slowly derailing the local economy. Our correspondent in Tanzania, Amani Goodhope, has the story. Take a look.
Iones Kawa, who sells mobile accessories, is one of many businessmen in Tanzania who has been affected by the delays and the rise of freight costs caused by the disturbance of the Suez Canal and the Red Sea routes. Thanks to a delayed cargo, he even lost a big business deal.
The cargo was supposed to be delivered in April, but it was delayed to mid-May. Our customer wanted to use the product in April, so automatically the deal vanished. Mind you, we were not paid. We expected to be paid after delivering the product. So we incurred big loss, something which made use to sell it at a low price, so that to get some little money.
Business are affected because some of the business owners have learned that they have to pay back in a fixed time. That the increasingly erratic cargo schedule brings hardship to these entrepreneurs.
Mobile phones and accessories price are not fixed. They vary. You find this is $5, the other is $10. For instance, you have imported your product intending after months the price could double to $20. Then when the product delays for a month, it reaches another month where price has depreciated. So you find you have imported for a high price, but you are forced to sell in low price. Automatically no profit you get. Also, it reduces trust among your customers.
That trade connection and continental relation among investors are also affected as Africa exports and imports to Europe.
There is a big impact since we depend on goods from Europe and America, and also they depend to trade with Africa countries. For instance, North Africa suffers due to this problem, also East Africa faces the same. There are raw materials from Africa to Europe market and goods from Europe to Tanzania. This is due to the bilateral treaty signed to work together. So when there are rebels in between, they disrupt the trade chain in Africa. Europe and America, so many companies which their work are based in Europe and America will much be affected and create economic hardship.
The governments in East Africa are striving to improve their ports' infrastructures by welcoming investors and implementing modern technologies to attract more ship docking in their countries. It is hoped this increase in traffic will bring markets to surrounding landlocked countries, but this investment will take time to achieve expected benefits due to the persisting shipping and logistic problem.
If If you look keenly, you will see that the investments in ports are tremendous, and the expectation to business is so high, but the problem, like how this rebels cause port to underperform as planned, it can lead to poor revenue collection, which will affect the contribution to national economy. If ships are using other route which is not the usually one, means the cost is increasing in terms of insurance, and because of these pirates when the journey becomes too long, the cost will automatically be added to the goods which will be brought to the market and other things. Business people are much affected because most are doing business under loans. So when ships delays, good also delays, and the bank need loans to be returned, so this is a big problem.
The importance of the Suez Canal and Red Sea in the business landscape cannot be understated, since it facilitates trade between three continents. Once disturbed, business is severely affected, explained the chairman of Tanzania Shipping Agents Association.
That is quite important channel. And whenever it's affected, the entire global economy is affected. And we are talking that because when you have disruption, for example, in security, you are creating congestion at the channel. When you create a congestion at the channel, it means shipping companies are charging daily on these congestion surcharges. This is making freight go higher, and when it goes higher, all the commodities price should go up. So it affects the entire global spectrum in terms of trade.
The collective approaches adopted to sort this problem might take time. The Tanzanian government has tried to ensure taxes remain constant to make sure that citizens can afford commodities.
I commend the government. Though the freight has gone up, the parliament and the government have insisted that the taxes should remain constant, so that to help the people to get the prices at the very normal price. So that is the short-term measures. In the long term, security at the channel should be instituted. The diplomatic mission should work on that, because a country like Tanzania cannot sustain for so long. That is the problem with East Africa as well.
But according to the UN Trade and Development Agency, there is a silver lining. The crisis has made the global trade more dependent on Africa ports, especially in Southern Africa. To reap benefits from the situation, East Africa countries would need to invest in implementing trade facilitation measures, improving ports operation, enhancing cargo handling, and strengthening coordination among border agents.
While the world waits to see what a second Trump presidency will look like, the BRICS countries just received a stark warning from the US president-elect. He warned them that his administration would require a commitment not to abandon the dollar or use a new currency as an alternative. He said, I quote, "We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs." Trump has long emphasized that he wants the US dollar to remain the world's reserve currency. Yet BRICS countries have been discussing the issue of de-dollarization since 2023, and again most recently at an October meeting in Kazan, Russia. And precisely the woman who could face those 4 years of Trump presidency fraught with tariff disputes is the Nigerian Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. World Trade Organization members agreed to reappoint her as Director General for a second term by consensus. Every member supported her and no other candidates were put forward to run against her. During her first stint, she won praise for efforts to widen vaccine distribution and for championing free trade. But some other deals, like a global crackdown on subsidies for fishing fleets that are depleting stocks of marine life, have moved slowly. We now take you to the coast of Ghana for this second report. These stunning painted canoes carved out of tree trunks are a sight to behold in these seaside fishing communities. Yet, behind vibrant colours and the strength of local craftsmanship, a darker new reality looms. Well, it's the shrinking fish stocks and the threat of deforestation which are having a growing impact on the livelihood of fishermen, while also questioning this rich tradition of canoes dug out of trees. Our correspondent John Owotwe has more. The hustle and bustle that goes on these landing sites is only a way of life. Nana Jujo Solomon has been in the fishing administration for over 35 years and is currently an executive member of the Ghana National Canoe Fishermen Council.
Our activities are always out of dugout logs called the canoe. Yes, that is what we basically use as our vessels, propelled by outboard motors from between 15 horsepower to 40 horsepower. We also have premixed fuel as a subsidized product from the government to help ease, the plight and the capital intensity of the fishermen.
The marine vessel, the dugout canoe, is a product of indigenous craftsmanship made from wawa logs, a wood species that is almost endangered. For this reason, the cost of production is relatively high and regulated, owing to the cost of purchasing the tree from the loggers, payment of commissions, levies, and the customary rights. Additionally, the craftsmen who mold these canoes are becoming rare, as it requires skills and lots of energy and motivation to build the vessel. Stefan Manser, a 30-year-old school dropout, is very skillful at constructing all sizes of canoes. He, however, thinks the job is not for the lazy.
Digging out canoes is not a lazy job. It's very difficult. Lazy young guys cannot do this type of job. This work is only for hard-working and determined guys.
Closely linked to the construction of these fishing vessels is the environmental threat that deforestation poses. Ghana's forest resources have largely been overexploited to a rate that is unsustainable, with a fast depletion of forest reserves. The major problem is the fact that the forestry policy is ineffective and the users of the wood product do not have a long-term plan to replant the wawa trees. There's hope that alternative technologies could be explored. Tony Dancer is a mechanical engineer who works with fiberglass technology. He proposes the adoption of other alternatives.
Fiberglass is a material which was discovered quite not too long ago, and it was used for fabricating of lighter crafts. When it was used for sea craft or watercraft, it was found that it was light and swift, and also the viscosity between the material and then the surface of the water was so low. So for that reason, it could fly and flow easy. It will be appropriate that we rather go fiberglass fully, so that it will help the depleting of our forest, and then also it will help us to do a better fishing in this country.
Currently, the average lifespan of a canoe is less than 10 years, and then coupled with a rocky coastline, canoes are damaged more frequently than expected, making the demand for new canoes higher than anticipated. Nana Jujo Solomon enumerates some challenges of the fishing enterprise.
We go out in expeditions just hoping that we'll come across a school of fish, and now looking at the population explosion and the efforts on the marine stocks by both artisanal fishers and industrial fishers, it has become an obsolete practice, and therefore it's a big challenge. Fishermen can embark on expeditions for 3 to 4 months without landing a single fish, which is a problem, which is a national security problem, which is a job security problem, which also is a food security problem.
Ghana's thriving fishing industry provides employment and livelihood for close to 10% of the population, and the contribution of the fishing industry to the country's GDP is estimated around 5% over the last 20 years. It is hence critical to find alternative resources to build the dugout canoe for the betterment of the fishing industry, the livelihoods of fishermen, and the Ghanaian forest. Are you seeking to boost your business in Africa and Europe? Increase your visibility with business frequency thanks to our network of national television channels in more than 40 countries. Every week, more than 100 broadcasts across Africa, the Indian Ocean and Europe. Don't miss this unique opportunity. Contact us now and put your brand into the spotlight. Welcome back to the second part of our show. What impact will the Adani affair have on the African continent? The question has been in the news since Adani Group chairman Gautam Adani was accused of corruption and fraud by the US administration. In response, Kenyan President William Ruto cancelled a deal with a subsidiary of the Indian group to build power transmission lines. He also abandoned a pending proposal to add a second runway at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and upgrade the passenger terminal in exchange for a 30-year lease. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, the government made a very different choice. The country has announced that it will honor a 30-year port concession deal with the Adani Group to operate Container Terminal 2 in its Dar es Salaam port. In the Republic of Congo, authorities have announced they will implement new reforms next year to boost revenue collection. The aim is to help end a cash shortage that resulted in the non-payment of public servants' salaries and forced the government to implement money-saving measures such as a ban on foreign travel. Concretely, the new policies will strengthen governance in public enterprises and boost the collection of dividends from those entities, increase transparency in the management of tax receipts, and modernize administrative processes. Revenue in Congo is below sub-Saharan African average. Revenue slumped in the wake of the 2014 oil price collapse, a trend that was exacerbated by the impact of Russia's war with Ukraine and the increased costs of living. Delegates from 175 nations failed to agree on a treaty to curb plastic pollution after 2 years of negotiations. During a United Nations-backed summit in Busan, South Korea, that concluded last week, oil suppliers, including Saudi Arabia and Russia, blocked attempts to limit production. This comes as production of plastic is forecast to jump about 60% by 2040, according to OECD. The lack of a binding agreement is a bitter disappointment for Kenya. It had taken the lead in the negotiations, being one of the few countries that have banned the use of plastic bags and single-use plastics like water bottles in protected areas. It's a sector that is gaining ground in Africa and is doing particularly well in Cameroon. I'm talking about the collection and recycling of used objects, especially plastics. For some time now, the rubbish littering the streets of many African cities no longer boils down to an environmental tragedy. On the opposite, Cameroonian companies have decided to combine the fight against environmental pollution and the waste business, resulting in many job creations. Abubakar Siddiq Munchali brings us to Douala to discover a very ambitious young company in this promising sector. Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon. Despite the positive transformation of the city every day, this metropolis has another face, plagued by garbage of all kinds, abandoned in nature by the populations in many neighborhoods, who pollute the environment, clog drains and create floods.
Just last week we worked on this drain. We completely cleared the drain, but to our unpleasant surprise, the drain is still full of garbage.
A real headache and environmental disaster, especially with regard to plastic waste, which this young promoter and his company have chosen to tackle by building their reputation on an original solution adapted to the local situation.
We have tried to adapt the situation in Cameroon by developing alternative solutions. In other words, where we might need a lot of resources, we've made do with the means that can be found locally. This includes manual collection, manual sorting, using tricycles, and raising local awareness, methods that can work in Africa.
Red Plast is the challenge of young Cameroonian students influenced by an ecological approach to economics. It was designed within the framework of inter-university competitions in the country during the 2010 edition Environment and Management of Natural Resources section. A group of young people who wanted to provide a solution to the plastic pollution problem in the city of Douala.
It's a project that was needed for Cameroon and for Africa because we have ambitious plans helping solve Africa's environmental issues.
The company was created in 2012 and since then has successfully handled environmental remediation and even business around plastic waste through recycling. Garbage is a gold mine, a niche of opportunity for Rodrigue Ngonde and his team.
Red Plast collects all types of plastic, such as bottles, cling film. Anything that's plastic on the site is collected.
The team said this young company crisscrossed the city of Douala to collect waste as part of the Eco-Collect program and also educate households on sorting garbage, as well as schools. Other localities in Cameroon, such as Yaoundé, are not to be outdone.
Once the waste has been collected, it is transported to the treatment plant where it is sorted, washed and crushed. We can collect up to 2,000 tons at our collection points. As I said, we are expecting to reach 10,000 tons by 2025.
The recycling work or raw material production for other companies based on the waste collected in the field is done here at the factory, built in the heart of the industrial district Bonaberi, located on the outskirts of the city of Douala. Finished or semi-finished products are obtained at the end of a long and meticulous process which requires heavy technical means and varied skills.
When it arrives at the plant, it first gets weighed. The trucks enter the site, we have the workers who unload them, and then we weigh it.
The work here consists of several things. We manufacture the paving stones, we have the sorting of materials, we have the grinding, the weighing. We have a lot of work to do. Red Plast workforce is predominantly young. During the holidays, the company sometimes even launches large waste collection operations or caravans for young school or university students with the help of many partners, municipalities, businesses and other actors involved in the fight against urban pollution and the healthy preservation of the environment. These collection operations allow them to earn money to better prepare to get back to school after the summer break by becoming environmental defenders and real plastic waste hunters. They also give them the opportunity to learn a lot of things, as in the case of these factory workers. Through my work, I've learned a lot of things that I did not know: how to transform products, transforming abandoned waste into finished products and turning them into paving stones, transforming them into products that are very useful. I'm very moved by my work. Red Plast has many customers, companies that use these raw materials from waste transformation to manufacture other products out of it. These end products are, among others, tiles, chairs, plastic tables, garbage bins, and the list is very long.
We make the products, granules, which are the raw materials for industry, replacing petroleum-based materials. 50,000 tons of granule are consumed every year by industry in Cameroon. Unfortunately, we can only produce 1,000 tons at the moment, but we intend to produce 10 to 20,000 tons by 2025. with the right investment.
For this promoter and the managers of several other organizations and NGOs also present in Cameroon on the field, as well as the market for the collection and recovery of plastic waste. This sector needs to be supported. Each year, Cameroon produces 600,000 tons of plastic waste, and only 20% of this waste is recycled. In other words, there is still a lot to be done, but these recycling companies see this sector as a fantastic land of opportunity to explore. Well, that's it for today. Business Africa is over. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel for Initiative Africa. We'll host Sandra Senu, who will speak about her fight to help disabled children. In the meantime, you can watch this show on our website, africaonair.com, and follow us on our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Have a great week, and until next time, goodbye.